Against this right back, Charlie.
People deluded, I'm back again.
Come on, Ian, man. Come on.
Because you always use that active when defending. I think it's like.
Arsenal have finally made a January signing, people. It is the 30th of January, and I'm delighted that we've actually signed the player. People deluded, I'm back again and all of that good stuff. As usual, appreciative of having you lot tuned in. Let's go over the latest talking points and all of those things concerning the football club we love. And if I share my screen with you lot, don't forget to smash the like button. Arsenal sign ex-goalkeeper Sarah Bohani on a short-term deal. I know you thought we were signing someone for the men's team. Big up the women's team. I thought we was as well. All the articles got me. I thought I'd get you lot. If we don't laugh, we'll cry, people. I apologize if I got your hopes up. By all means, I deserve the quote-unquote abuse. But if we don't make jokes, we're going to cry, people. As I said, big up the women's team. Allegedly, this goalkeeper, who I'm not going to act like I'm knowledgeable, was named FIFA's best goalie in 2020, apologies, after helping Lyon complete the treble. Arsenal have signed ex-France goalkeeper Sarah Bohani on a short-term deal. Big her up. Hopefully she does the business for the women's team. I know, people, you're disappointed. You're probably fuming at the mouth. Allow me, people. I've got to attract you lot somehow. At least I'm a content creator who admits it, people. You've got to play the game. Smash the like button. Subscribe if you haven't. Now, moving forward, I'm sure some of you would have seen my video already in relation to this. I've kind of focused on it a bit. Please make sure you check out that video. Mikel Arteta has said, we have one of the thinnest squads in the league, that's for sure. And when you talk about numbers, especially in certain areas, we are really thin. It wasn't possible to do any January deals, and now we didn't have the capacity to improve the team in the way that we think we want to improve it, so we've decided not to do anything. Now, I don't know how you lot feel about that. I've got a lot of time for Mikel Arteta. There's a lot of excuses I cut him. If we have one of the thinnest squads in the league, that is unacceptable, and that is because of what you and Edu Gaspar have done or haven't done. If we cannot act in the January market because we're close to FFP, we knew this spending come at a cost. We have finally returned to the Champions League, and we was, ever since we've gone out of it, we still spent money. We knew this was something really, so we needed to get it spot on in the summer. A lot of Arsenal fans were saying that we improved our depth, etc. And when everybody's fit, if everybody's fit, which when and if are dangerous terms to start using in football because injuries happen to everyone. Yeah, we've got a good squad. But that's not the reality. If we have a thin squad, it's because what you or Edu have or haven't done, how you've allocated our budget, what positions you've looked to fill in with. Could we have got a winger in the summer? Could we have addressed better in central midfield and maybe got 2 centre mids for the price of Kai Havertz, or invested that in better areas if we couldn't do that? I hear the striker market, they weren't really what, the Osman weren't really available. Ivan Toney was on a ban. Vlahovic kind of went quiet, so on and so forth. But if we knew we was working to a tight budget, which is why I believe, on top of everything, why we let Balogun leave, he wanted to go. We needed to get some funds in. I think that's a big reason as to why we gave Reece Nelson a new deal on top of protecting resale value. You lot have to take it. You lot have to hold the corn for this. Everybody who is in this team or not in this team is because Mikel Arteta has vouched for them, whether he's brought them in or not. So to hear we have one of the thinnest teams in the league where, it's unacceptable, really. We've seen what injuries have done for years, and we've seen what injuries can do to any team, much less us, last season and the season before, actually, or not acting or buying correctly, 2 Januaries ago. We knew we set a precursor and that we've gone over the rebuild now. The rebuild and the phases and the process and all that stuff is still going on. But we've rebuilt the football club now. It's about taking Arsenal to do what Liverpool and City have done. Based on last season, have we moved closer to that? I feel in many ways, yes, and in many ways, no, really. Mikel Arteta basically said it was a quote-unquote a fluke or an anomaly how our attacking players scored all those goals. So could we have got a wide man or a striker? We know Granit Xhaka was leaving, and we know Partey's got injuries. That pivot was key to us last season. Declan Rice, through no fault of his own, and the Kai Havertz stuff, it is not working really and truly. And where you look at Kai Havertz versus Granit Xhaka, the two very different profiles. I hope hope Kai Havertz can show his quality, which again, 65 million where you're working to a tight budget. You also look at David Raya coming on loan and how we've kind of sorted out that deal. Tells you everything. Kai Havertz is not a like for like with Xhaka. He doesn't do what Xhaka does and enhance it. Doesn't get on the ball enough. I don't feel I do think he's an intelligent footballer, but intelligence in comparison to Xhaka. There was times Xhaka would fill in at left back, Zinchenko run in midfield and do what you need to do. Xhaka would pull out wide, Martinelli invert and try to score some goals and score similar finishes to what you saw against Crystal Palace. Obviously, Granit Xhaka's a bit of an old school midfielder in that he just simply wants the ball, tries to quote unquote dictate the tempo of the game, and his heat map is probably a lot more on the ball than Kai Havertz. So Mikel Arteta, you've got to hold that and justify that. If we've got one of the finished squads, it's unacceptable. Now, I know we can't get everything right. I know there's a lot of variables that unless you're a fly on the wall at London Coley, we don't know what's going on, but it's unacceptable, you know, and how we've spent the money going into January, not being able to act and boost us, it's down to you lot. You know, in an ideal world, we wouldn't buy anybody in January. You shouldn't need to. You would have done everything in the summer. We haven't adjusted everything. I cut the club a bit of excuses because Timber's a serious injury, and I think that would have changed the dynamics. But we've been seeing this. You know, Mikel Arteta, you was at Manchester City. You know how depth can sometimes be overstated, but it can never be overrated. There's 38 Premier League games, and however many in the Champs and the League Cup and the FA Cup, 2 of those competitions were out of, you know. You need games. You need, you know, where Saka and Martinelli drop off, other players pick up the mantelpiece, because it's not an excuse. They're old enough to play, but we've got to remember they're not seasoned veterans. There's going to be a lot of volatility. And I do think, you know, it's a key, you know, I do think we've on the right trajectory, but we invent our own issues really and truly with not doing certain things. So it's inexcusable really and truly. And Mikel Arteta, and they're doing the same way I praise you for a lot of players you've brought in and the talent ID. If we cannot act in the market, if we've got one of the finished squads, that is down to them really and truly. The Cronkies are giving you the money. However you've done it and whatever, that's your issue. You know, you can't go Selfridges and buy all of these designers and nice clothes and things, get home and complain about the fit. You spent the peas, bro. So I've got a lot of time for Arteta, but I'm very disappointed in this statement. It really does pee me off. I'm not going to lie to you lot. Big up Arteta, though. As you know, he has been linked himself, the manager, with a move to Barcelona. He has quashed that. That hasn't stopped rumours around Jorginho potentially departing. 1 minute it's Saudi, then it's Italy, then it's back to Brazil, then it's actually moving to another Premier League team, and now it's Spain. Now, Jorginho's played for a big club in Arsenal, also the same in Chelsea, played for Napoli, won a lot, you know, won something for club and country. Couldn't begrudge him if he wanted to go over to sunny Spain. It would be right up Barcelona's street. I'm not saying Jorginho's a bad player. I think he'd fit in, but their recruitment has been a bit shaky. There's no longevity. Nonetheless, Jorginho has been also linked with Turkish clubs. He's also been linked with Barcelona. Apparently, Besiktas and Fenerbahce offers were turned down for the 32-year-old. Even if you wanted to let Jorginho leave, if you're not bringing in Zubimendi or Nana, Douglas Luiz or any central midfielder, it does not make sense. We're already down to our bare bones. You know, Partey is always touch and go with injuries. Declan Rice, you'd imagine he plays today at the time of making this video against Nottingham Forest, but he's picked up a knock. You know, I've been saying it. Edu and Arteta, you're centre mids. Anyone that follows me on a regular basis, how many years have I been waffling about addressing central midfield? And we knew we was moving away from that Xhaka and Partey sort of pivot, really and truly. And it has not. We haven't addressed it. That's why you're seeing Saka have to drop deep. That's why you're seeing Odegaard, not for his own fault, but kind of looks lost, like he doesn't know whether to drop deep. If he drops deep, there's no connecting play in the front three. As much as I like how Arteta has assembled this squad and what we're doing, I think a byproduct of what we have done or haven't done or addressed certain areas or brought certain players in, you know, we're standing in the rain off our own accord and complaining we're wet. It does not make sense, people. As I said, we all know Douglas Luiz, Zubimendi, Onana, these players who have historically been linked with the club and aggressively linked in January, they're not landing in January unless a miracle happens, people, so we can keep it moving. And as you're seeing with a lot of the talk, it's all centered around what we're doing in the summer now, people. If the screen would stop freezing, once again, people, you know, one silver lining could be Cedric departing, and hopefully that means young Waters gets opportunities. He's been linked. Every day there's a new Turkish club linked with Cedric Suarez. But for what it's worth, Galatasaray are looking to sign Cedric Suarez on a permanent transfer in the next few days. Football.London understands. The Portuguese international has been out of favour at the Emirates Stadium this season, starting just once in all comps. While he has won many admirers around the club for his professional approach during this period, big him up, he's no longer a part of Arteta's plans. Somehow he's managed to play in the Champions League and skipping all the way through this. As you know, Galatasaray have sold Sasha Boy to Bayern Munich, a player we was once linked with, and now they're looking at a replacement in which, Turkish football is crazy. Galatasaray is a massive club. Turkish fans live and breathe football. It's a big club to go play for. Don't know for the wages he's going to get. As much as I want Cedric gone, again, bodies, if there's an injury or two in our defensive ranks, where does that leave us now? And the very fact of, I'm not saying Arteta's right or wrong, because Cedric is experienced, but it tells you everything in that. Cedric Suarez has been on the bench. Cedric Suarez is the one that wasn't quite a dead rubber, but dead rubber against PSV versus a young fullback in the academy. That tells you where Arteta's kind of trusting if worse comes to worse. And you would have to give someone like Waters the luxury of making mistakes because he is a young player. I think I speak for everyone. Keep it moving where Cedric is concerned. Apparently, they're going to offer him a 2.5-year deal, people. And apparently, he's on 100 grand a week at Arsenal. So when you make these expensive flops, it's difficult to move them on, people. So we hope that Cedric keeps it moving, big him up and all of that. But yeah, we've gone over Mikel Arteta's comments there. I ain't trying to read that again. Young Cozier Duberry allegedly is attracting interest from Newcastle United as well as Ajax and Dortmund. As I've told you in a previous vid, I know for a fact Anderlecht and Borussia Dortmund really like the look of Cozier Duberry. He's had a contract on the table for a few months now, and it hasn't been signed. And I'm not saying he wants to, it doesn't, because I know he's a boyhood Arsenal fan. He's Arsenal crazy and stuff. But it's now time, in my opinion, to look beyond the fact that you're a fan and you've been here, and what can I do to make inroads at 18 years of age so that at 19, 20, I've got 50 to 100 career appearances, or I'm moving into that? I don't know, but does it look clear that there's a pathway? Has there been a willingness to use I understand not using young defenders, but young attackers in the opposition's half of the pitch? Why have you been in around? Yeah, he's played 1-2 preseason games, trained with the team and all of that. But, I wouldn't say, hey, lenders are necessarily the bee's knees under Mikel Arteta right now. So I understand the reluctance to sign a new deal. Of course, from an Arsenal perspective, I hope he doesn't. I hope he does. But you look at it logically, Arsenal are probably going to sign another winger. We tried to get Rafinha, Pedro Neto, Mikhail Mudryk, Gabriel Jesus can play out wide. You've got Trossard there. You've got Saka there. Nelson's a bit part player, as is Emil Smith-Rowe. But they're also options. How much game time are you going to get? How much opportunities are you going to get with Arsenal purely just partaking in the Premier League and Champions League? You've also heard young Sego Jr. is apparently going to be joining Sunderland on loan. We'll wait for official confirmation. But if you've got Ajax interested in you, Borussia Dortmund, you've seen what they've done for several young players. And actually, Waters as well hasn't signed his new deal. And I can't blame them for a reluctance. I'm not saying Arteta is right or wrong, but if it's not looking clear what the pathway or the plan for you is at Arsenal, bearing in mind, they will tell you, every club will tell you everything under the sun as a young player. I would do the same if I was Arteta already. Yeah, you're going to play, there's a pathway. And it's not that I'm lying, but the minute you sign that deal, it's cool right now, if I'm completely honest with you. So they're going to tell you everything. Do what you need to do to get to where you need to go as a professional footballer. So yeah, people, that's where Cozier Duberry is concerned. A whole bunch of clubs are interested in him. For what it's worth, Arsenal want the 18-year-old to stay and have held talks over fresh terms. No agreement has been struck, but discussions are ongoing, people. I'm not a big fan of calling people the next Bukayo Saka and all of this sort of stuff. It doesn't help anyone. Any talented young player comes out, they're the most exciting player since Jack Wilshere. I've heard that with Smith-Rowe and Reece Nelson. Obviously, Bukayo Saka is the exception rather than the rule. Every decade or so, you get a Jack Wilshere, you get a Bukayo Saka, you get one of those that it don't matter who the manager is, they were always going to bust through. But they're an exception rather than the rule. Again, he's yet to make his senior debut. He's trained and been around the first team, but that's all great, really and truly. But is the manager trusting of you? And I'm not necessarily criticizing Arteta. I'm just saying the dynamics of being a young player. But Dortmund are on him, Newcastle allegedly, and the for a fact are really keen on him as a Dortmund. Ajax is, if you're a young player, just in general, a football fan, if Ajax is interested in you, you listen to what they have to say, people. So yeah, people. And there's also been interest on taking him on a loan basis. In the Championship and League One, but probably from a club perspective, you're probably not going to loan him out until he signs a new deal, folks. It's just as simple as that, really and truly. It probably doesn't make sense. The club probably have a reluctance to let him advance in that until there's confirmation over his future. But at the same time, as you know, he's got a couple of months on his contract. If it is clear that it's not going to happen, he's gonna, you know, they're not gonna do what needs to be done. I'm not quite sure why this ain't loading, people. Again, it seems like the screen's frozen. Apologies for technical difficulties. Marquinhos, who went to Norwich and had a great debut and kind of went quiet. He went on loan in the summer to Nantes in France, hasn't done anything. Apparently, he's set to move back on loan to Brazil, people. Negotiations are currently underway with Corinthians, currently the front runners for his signature. He's currently participating for Brazil at under 23 level at a pre-Olympic tournament. Hasn't worked out. You know, if he can go back to his homeland, feel a bit settled in familiar surroundings, make a name for himself, maybe he'd have an opportunity at Arsenal, or maybe we can turn that £3 million investment into 13, or can't see it, but 30. You know, I'm not gonna lie, Edu, man, you need to bring us something lit, because Martinelli weren't your thing. Like you Brazil, even Argentina, Uruguay, there's all them kind of lit nations there. And, you know, you see this, the amount of South American players. You come with Marquinhos, he's nowhere near the first team. I'd rather give Cozier Duberry opportunity, really and truly. Like, you know, the very fact that he's probably behind Reece Nelson, respectfully to Reece in the pecking order, that tells you everything, if I'm completely honest with you. So it is what it is in that regards, folks, man. It really is. I don't know if you lot have seen, people, but allegedly Arsenal will be going to America in pre-season. We'll be playing Manchester United and also Liverpool, people. So we'll have to see where that's concerned. Man United, Arsenal, Liverpool are set to play one another in the United States this summer as the Premier League's most famous teams ascend on North America for pre-season. You know, and you'd imagine that Arsenal are not going to stop that anytime soon, because isn't the next World Cup over them sides in like 2026? So yeah, you'd imagine maybe we'll skip out next year and then go there again. I don't know, people, but our owners are American, as are Liverpool's, as are Manchester United's. It makes sense, really and truly, to keep doing that, really. And, you know, last summer we went there, and also we had Matt Turner, Balogun and Trusty. All three players are not at the club anymore, but all represent America international level. So there's them kind of reasons behind doing such potentially as well. But in relation to everything, that appears to be everything. At the time of making this video later today, Arsenal will be playing Nottingham Forest live from 7:30. So I'll be live from 6:30. Join me across Twitch and YouTube for a watch along. Sorry for baiting you lot at the beginning in relation to a goalkeeper signing, and sorry for any technical difficulties you have. But I hope you've enjoyed the stream. I hope that, well, the video. I hope you lot have taken something away. Don't forget to comment. Let me know your thoughts. Hit the like button if you haven't, and don't forget to subscribe. Most importantly, I hope you and your loved ones remain in good health. We'll link up again soon. But for now, I'm out.
There's always just that active red flag defending. I think it's like